amma xiqqishuma biqiltuu xiqqishuu tana amma guddatte akka mukoota kanaatitti guddatee kana kee kana mulu hana ufate anuma hagana geechu tana guddatee kana hundate. Amma lafti kuni duraan lafa qonnaa lafa natsaadha. Ifa lafti kuni bosonni irraa manca'ee bishaan galaanni axaqqa'ee makiinaa galabbatee lubbuu namaa nyaate dirasii ga'e galaanni kun.
ከየት ይመጣል አፈር እየተባለ ከባድ ችግር ነበረ.
Regreening Africa, we're reaching 8 countries and we're working with over 500,000 farmers already. So we see agroforestry as a really critical tool to fighting climate change. And you could have indigenous trees that are helping enrich the landscape and stabilize soil.
በጋራ መስራት፣ በጋራ ማጠራቀም፣ በጋራ መመካከር፣ በጋራ ችግሮችን መፍታት፣ በጋራ በ1994 ለ95 ድርቅ ነበር። ከባድ ድርቅ ከኃይለኛ ኪሳራ ዛጋ ደርሶብኛል። በጣም ከባድ ኪሳራ።
This has been the biggest crisis since the famine of 84-85.
ገሪቷ ወደ 14 ሚሊዮን ህዝብ በረሃብ ተጎድቶ ነበር። በጣም ብዙ ምርት አመርተ ነበረ። በዛን ጊዜ የመጨረሻ በቃ 1994 ለ95 ከፍተኛ ድርቅ ነበር እንደ ሀገሪቷ ወደ
This region is really important because we know today that a third of soils around the world are degraded, but in Africa 65% of soils are degraded. The reality of climate change is that we need really healthy landscapes to be able to take the droughts, but also the heavy rains.
ይሄ ሪግኒንግ አፍሪካ ችግሩ እንዴት ነው? እርከኑ ሲቆፈር ምንድነው እንደዚህ የምታስቆፍሩን? ይሄ ድንጋይ ምን ይመጣበታል ብላችሁ ነው? እዚህ ጋር እንጨት ይበቅላል እንዳይበቅልም እኮ ህዝቡም እምቢ አለ፣ ወጣቱም እምቢ አለ፣ ሁሉም እምቢ አለ። አሁን ምንድነው መልስ የመለሱልን? ገብስ የሚደርሰው በፍልሰታ እኔ የምሞተው ዛሬ ማታ።
So this is complex work. It's work that takes time and that takes a lot of trust building between the work we do, the farmers, the policymakers, and it was a process of resistance, of finding ways to move forward. What we saw, it was very important to incentivize farmers to decide to adopt agroforestry practices. And obviously, this is why it's really important that we identify ways when we're bringing in agroforestry systems to ensure what are the crops in the short term that will bring about greater productivity, that requires being able to listen into the communities to ensure that the work we're doing really aligns with their needs.
ያንን ችግር ግን የተወሰነ እንት ያለን ሰዎች እነኚህን አሳምነን 16 ልጆች ናቸው እዚህ ላይ ተደራጀን። ምንም አይነት እንጨት የለም። አልፎ ሳር መብቀል ጀመረ። ውሃ ከላይ የሚመጣ ውሃ እዛ መቆም ጀመረ። ይሄ በቀለ። እኛም ደግሞ ተከልን፣ ብዙ ተክለናል። ማንጎ እነኚህ እንትኖችን ዘይቱና 600 ፍሬ ተክለናል። 15 ቀፎ ሰጡን። ያው ግማሹ ያው ንብ አለበት፣ ግማሹ ቤት ነው ያለው። ከዚህ ከአምና ቆርጠናል። አሁንም ዳመና ከሄደ በኋላ እንቆርጣለን። ከአንዷ ቀፎ ላይ 17 ኪሎ ግራም አግኝተናል። እንግዲህ ከነኚህ ከሁሉም ቀፎዎች ላይ ደግሞ ስንቆርጥ የምናገኘው እንግዲህ በ17 ብናባዛው
Beekeeping is really critical in terms of promoting natural pollinators and promoting the capacity for additional income from other sources like honey from beekeeping. And this is why we see agroforestry as critical to allowing multiple sources of revenue to diminish risk for farmers. And this is why, in terms of building sustainable livelihoods and resilience to climate, having the possibility of multiple revenue streams is a really important way to help smallholder farmers thrive.
Wanni akkasitti wal qabanii hojjetanii wajjiniin hojjechuun haga walitti dhiyaatu ollaanis yoo ta'e hojjetanii maaltu kakaasaa bu'aadha. Qonna sani mahaali keechallee oduun ta'een oduu mukni uumamaan jira muti muka uumamaa san oduu kunuunsitanii lafa keechanii akka garbii faanti qonnaaf midhaaniif lafa furdisaa waan gaariidha jabaadha too hojjedha jedhanii baay'ee nu leenjisan.
Trees in landscapes are really important to the work we're doing in regreening Africa. So what we see as the importance of agroforestry, if you have trees in the middle of that landscape, what we call a nutriscape is that you will be able to harvest your crops that are annuals, but in between you can have nuts that are bearing fruit, you could have fruit trees that are bearing fruit, you could have trees that are producing stalks that can be used to climb beans.
በዚህ ያ ባዶ የነበረ መሬት ዛሬ እንጨት እንደዚህ ወጥቶበት ሳር ወጥቶበት አይደለ ለኔ ላልሰሩ ሰዎች እንኳን ወይኔ ብለው የተቆጩበት ሰዓት ላይ ነው አሁን ያለነው። አሁን እባካችሁ አደራጁን አንድ ላይ እንሆን እስከ ማለት ደረጃ ደርሰዋል።
namni hundu bu'aa ofiitiif wanna tokko hoo argatan hin hojjetan. Wanna bu'aan qabne moo hin hojjetan bu'aa waan qabuuf piroojeektii kanaa wajjin bu'aa waan qabuuf isaan wajjin hojjechuu dandeenya.
And today we have farmers that in 1 hectare of land are growing 10 to 13 different crops. Some of them will be corn, some of them will be fruit trees, some of them will have trees that they're using for charcoal production, some of them will be long-term timber. So we're really excited that the work so far of Regreening Africa is reaching close to 1 million hectares of land. In phase 2 of this work, we're really hoping to add another 4 million of hectares of land restored.
በጣም ደስታውን አልችልም። በቃ እኔ አሁን እንደ ልጆቼ ነው የማየው። ይሄን ጋራውን የኔ ልጅ ይመስለኛል፣ የኔ ሀብት ይመስለኛል።